Hi everyone and welcome to Out of Nowhere. Very interesting show tonight. My guest is Gerard M Pratt. We'll be talking lots of different subjects tonight: UFOs, astro travel, different things on the show today. So anybody in the chat room wants to ask a question or anything, just put in capitals, relate to me, and I'll relate to Gerard. So we'll have a fantastic time. So we'll have a really good show tonight. Can we please welcome Gerard to the show? Hello there.
Hello, how are you doing? How's things?
I'm doing great. Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's been a,
I remember last time I spoke to you.
well, it's been a few months now, about 3 or 4 months. Paul, well, he thought it was about a year. It was only 6 months since his last interview. So time is not something that we measure too well. But we had a good interview last time, and we discussed my first book, The Astral Traveller, in quite detailed our discussion. So hopefully we'll get into it again tonight.
Yeah, please. What inspired you to write The Astro Travelers Guardians of the Light and Shadow?
Well, just bearing in mind for anyone watching, that was the first book. So that was the ground book about my astral journeys, which I included 60 personal journeys, or journals, I should say.
Yeah.
And we finished off with 4 chapters on how to astral travel. So that's very much a how-to book. And it incorporated 60 personal journals and a lot of other aspects of astral travel, like the energy body and the various elements of lucid dreaming and how it all comes together. But it also discussed elements of the occult and spiritualism and seances and things. So I did digress in the book a bit, because when you get into a book, you want to expand as much as you can, and sometimes you go a bit too far. But anyway, it finished up at 333 pages, that book, which is a very big spiritual
Amazing.
number. I know I didn't plan for that, but originally it was going to be one book with the ufology-based material inside, but it's just too much. And a friend of mine from Pennsylvania said, you cannot mix ufology with occultism, spiritism, and everything else that was thrown in. So I had to divide it. So the second book, which we'll come on to in a minute, was going to be a follow-up to the first book. And it is a follow-up, but it delves into so much more deeper elements than that. Yeah, again, once you start something, it goes much bigger. And the second book does that. But yeah, the first books, which was only came out in September, so that's still doing very well. And I think the second book, being a ufology-based book, probably will do better than the first book, because ufology, as anyone watching right now will know, is massive at the moment. But I mean, that wasn't what inspired me to write the book. This has happened, I suppose. I didn't expect this to happen, but so we'll see. And a lot of the topics which I discuss in the second book do actually are what we're coming to at the moment, like the interdimensional, non-physical nature of the phenomenon. So yeah.
Exactly. What does the title Guardians of the Light Shadow mean to you then, personally?
Yeah, well, Guardians of Light and Shadow, during the journey that transpires both books, there's been a lot of guidance involved, from spiritual guides, spiritual masters, and extraterrestrials, if we can use that term.
Yeah.
But there's, from my understanding of the experiences, is that there is a battle going on of light and dark. It's an unseen battle, which I've been caught in the middle of in a lot of my experiences. And sometimes it's hard to know who the guides are that are guiding you. I mean, deception is rife. I mean, people think, and I spoke to Paul about this the other night, to Paul Sinclair. People think they've got a guide with a specific name, and sometimes they're not who they say they are. People are led astray. But it goes much bigger than that. I mean, that the Earth is a, and that's what I have a picture of the Earth in the first book, and the 300 beings. And the 300 beings are actually very, very light beings, or they may not seem that way at first. So first impressions, you can be deceived. But it's about guidance and guides and working with humans in the astral plane, because they do things in those dimensions to affect change on the earth, certain rituals and things. So yeah, guardians of light and shadow, who's light and who's shadow, and we're stuck in the middle of it, which I was, very much so,
I bet you was as well.
and I still am.
How do you define astral projection for someone completely unfamiliar with the concept?
It's the concept of leaving one's body, using a light body and traveling into higher and lower dimensions, non-physical dimensions. But astral projection was a term developed by the Theosophical movement back in 1878 by Helena Blavatsky. So she coined the term astral projection. But the actual modality of traveling out of the body has been around from humans since day go. Do you know what I mean? But the terminology was changed, and it was used heavily in movements like the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, where it was a top, higher level modality taught to higher level practitioners, to adepts, and then it followed into mainstream sort of OBEs. So an out of body experience is more or less the same as astral projection. But I guess with an out of body experience, you will notice the real time zone, which is the etheric plane, which is a membrane, a slush state between our physical and the first dimensions. So when a spirit comes down from an astral dimension to affect change here in the physical, they will be in the etheric plane, this first membrane, which mirrors the physical. So it's quite complicated. But when you're traveling in this light body, which looks pretty much like ourselves, it's a copy, because that's how we see ourselves. So how you see yourself is how you will project astral projection. So you're projecting your image into this energy body, and it will take your form, and you will travel those realms using mind. Movement is all by mind. I mean, when I first done it, I was trying to swim around, like trying to move, like and that was back when I was like 18, trying to move with your hands and stuff, but it's all very mind controlled. But I've digressed a bit there, but that's what it is. But I mean, when you've got things like the Monroe Institute, their version of an out of body experience could be there's two types. If you're not traveling in a light body, you could do it like a traveling clairvoyance, like a mind traveling. So there is another way of doing this, but I've gone on a bit there, so sorry about that. Go on.
No, it's all right, because it's happened to me.
Yeah.
I've done it, astral traveling before, and out of body experience.
Yeah.
Rising from the bed and floating and going towards the light. I've done it absolutely quite a few times. I've done things like that, and then drop back into the body, and then come back into bed, and then go, oh,
yeah,
and then woke up. Thought, what the hell was that?
Well, that's an OBE. So when you see in the room, you were in the etheric plane, effectively.
Yeah.
Did you have any vibrations or sensations or any jet noises in the ears or anything going on? Did your body feel like it sank? What was going on with you?
It sounded I could feel vibrations in my body, as though I was, I'm going to say, like jet planing.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It was so strange.
Certain things happen in the body. In order to leave the body, there's got to be a certain reaction. So that sounds to me that we use separation there. So that was your traditional OBE would have been described by Madame Blavatsky in 1878. That wasn't the kind of mind traveling that, as far as I understand, they teach in the Monroe Institute, where they go in these capsules and they lock them in and they go through a meditation. So when I go to the meditation group, which I attend once a week, I do mind traveling. So I'm not leaving. There's no sensations or physical things going on to produce. So to produce this astral double, you need them sensations and that happen to produce this energy body, and your consciousness transfers to, and that's why you snap back in. And there's a lot of sensations going on, but that's what you had. you know, and a lot of people have and don't even realize you've done it. But you
Oh, yeah, I
remember,
know.
you
Exactly.
remember it. Well, I think most people do remember it actually, because it's quite a profound thing, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's happened for a while, but at one period it was
Mm.
happening quite regular.
Yeah, you normally get on a roll with these things because obviously at that time your body must have been in the right state to have them, and energy can affect it, and physicality as well. Do you know what I mean? Like right
Yeah.
now, I'm struggling myself because put on a bit of weight, etc. And it happens to the best of us. So I'm going
Of
to have
course
to
it
go on
does.
a go on a plan to sort of get back, because the physical is important. The physical is vitally important as
Yes,
well as the
correct.
spiritual.
Yeah, I like that.
We've got a question
Um,
here.
question from Steph.
Oh,
Hi, Joe. When you ask to travel, do you ever worry if you can come back again
I've
into
been asked this
here and
question
now?
before. I've been asked this question before, and the answer is no. You're more worried about not being able to stay out long enough because we spoke about energy and traveling. You're very limited because your astral body's connected to the physical body by what they call a silver cord. You may have heard about the silver cord. It's not
Yeah,
quite like that. Imagine a non-visible tether, like a Wi-Fi tether. So you don't think about it or see it, but it is connected to the physical body. And sometimes you can't stay out long. Sometimes you can stay out longer, and you can train yourself to stay out even longer. But I don't tend to worry. As soon as you see something fearful, in most cases, you'll snap back into the physical.
yeah,
Um, but there was one occasion where there was an entity. I had seen an entity, and I got locked in a room, and I couldn't transfer phase through the walls of this room for some unknown reason. And I had to do a control return back to the body. But no, you normally just snap back in. That's the least of your worries.
yeah,
When you start practicing these things, and my book, The Astral Traveller: Guardians of Light and Shadow, has a lot of training manuals with elements within it to help you get out the body. But the idea being you want to stay out, you don't want to be pulled back in. You don't tend, I think people worry about entities inhabiting your physical body while you're gone. I mean, I don't think they can, because you're energetically designed for your physical body. It's not very easy. So I wouldn't give that any worry whatsoever.
right. I'm sure she'll get back to us on that. What's some of the biggest misconceptions people have about astro travel?
Biggest misconceptions. Well, people see it as like it goes against religion, or it's not something that God would allow you to do. So there are religious implications for those that are religious. But I believe in direct contact, and in order to get out the body, and in many ways, in order to see a UFO, in many cases, to do CE5 work, you really have got to be thinking peacefully and love and light. And this is what annoys me. A lot of people who talk about these subjects, do they know how much love and light you've got to pump out there into the universe to get these experiences? I can't
Yes,
go and just have an astral projection. I've got to get guides on board. If I went for a week now and started giving money to the poor and doing all these things, well, I know you're laughing now, but all these things promote promote that oneness, that universal love and connection, and I find you'll have more experiences during those things. So people tend to think, oh, you're going against God, you're doing this, you're doing that. You're actually going to the source and seeing what's behind the veil. You know, don't hide under the stone. I always take the apple. And I bet I've been offered the apple. Take the apple of knowledge with both hands and run with it.
yes,
That's what I say.
yeah. I agree with you there. Why do you think humanity has always been fascinated by the supernatural?
Well, this is one of the things I was thinking about. The supernatural has always been with us, but we're the first, well, not generation, it happened in the 40s, to turn our back on the supernatural. And people wonder why. This has happened, and what's going on? They're seeing these craft, we're seeing this. This is something that's been with humanity from the beginning, and we're the first, really, since the 50s, to turn our back on it and say, oh, this is not, we're following science now. But the supernatural is there. I even forgot what the question was now. What did you say?
Why do you think humanity
Yeah.
has always been fascinated by the
Oh,
supernatural?
of course, because it's because you're realizing that that there's another reality going on around us, and it's suddenly you're seeing beyond the veil, aren't you? You know,
Yeah,
we're being held back as humans. You know, don't look this way. You carry on digging that hole over there. You carry on doing, and all of a sudden you see something which challenges all your beliefs, which happened to me. You know, which happened in my life a few times, but 2018 was probably, or 17, let's just say, when I had my first awake OBE, when I didn't, not when I laid on the bed and I first left the body, and then you see in the room light up, and you're seeing that, it's all of a sudden, then the music plays and you think dinner, it's like all of a sudden, welcome to the real world.
yes, exactly, the real world.
Or I could say that was at the time in 2018 when I first seen the first extraterrestrial grey stood next to the bed, but we can get onto that in a bit. That
Oh
was a
my God,
real
yeah,
wake up moment, and you think, you rub your eye, have I just seen what I think I've seen?
yeah,
And you look,
exactly.
and the wife's asleep next to you, and you know it's 3 a.m, and I've just seen an ET jump into a hole in the middle of the air. I took like a dive as if he was diving into a swimming pool, and he was gone. And I was sat there, and it wasn't as if I'd woke up. I hadn't, not, I was fully awake, and it's one of them, you just turn over and go and sit and go, oh, okay. I don't
Yeah, it's
know.
strange like
That,
that, isn't it? I know.
yeah,
Well, you know what this house is like. This house where Paul
I've
is.
heard,
So many things happen. Either shadow people come out that wall in
yeah.
front of the TV and into that wall, and then you're thinking, "What the hell was that?"
Have you seen them?
Yeah, and
Okay,
you think, "Where's they
because
come from?"
that was the hilarious thing with all these astral projections I was doing, and this went on for like since, let's say, from 2017 to
Yeah,
24 till I started writing this second book now. Um, the family seen more than I seen physically. I was so I was getting it in the neck, and but then as I spoke the other night, I said I wasn't protecting very well, really. I was just up for anything, you know what I
yes,
mean? But then one night I was on an early shift the next morning, and I was just lying there, and there's someone poking me in the back, and that lower spine, there was a finger coming through the quilt poking me,
that is right.
and
I've
it
had
wouldn't be.
that.
Have you? I
Yeah,
turned round and I seen this black shaped figure dart out of the room. Now, here's the funny thing. If I'd have seen it a minute before when it was in a trance state, it'd have probably looked physical, and it might have just been a deceased loved one. I've had loads of them, but because I was awake looking, it was now a black. See, that's what when you see an entity in the home and you see that black shape which you've just described, if you were out of the body or you were even in some kind of altered state, you would see them in full as they wanted to be looked, as they wanted to be seen. So it could be a deceased loved one or whatever, but
mm.
from the physical eyes, I just through physical eyes, I'll see them just like you've just described, and it can be quite frightening because you don't know who it is, do you?
Well, you just don't know what they are. You've
Exactly, yeah.
seen so much in this room here, and you think, "Oh my God, here we go again."
Have you done any like a cleansing or anything? I mean, because what I found out with the spirits, I mean, they don't have the level of free will that we have. So if you were to say, listen, I don't want you, being here, then they'll come back, but they tend to like go for a while, but it interests them, so they come back.
Well, it's strange you saying that because it don't worry me so much. It's just the odd time, like I was sat
Yeah,
in the recliner at the back of me
yeah,
early
shock
one
you.
morning. I get up
Mm,
and I just turned to it and I thought, "What the hell is that?" It was
mm,
like a young girl, head down like that. Her hair was hanging down like a demon,
right.
and
Yeah.
and then I looked, vanished, gone, and that was sort of like 6 o'clock in the
Mm.
morning.
Yeah, we do have a lot of earthbound spirits. Some are quite negative. There's a lot of spirits that latch onto your energy and drain you. So I
And
would say you've got to be
exactly,
careful.
that's what some of it does to me. It drains my body.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when we're in the spirit circle, I do see a lot of them moving around the room, you know, and other people see them more physically than I do. And then
Mm.
sometimes you look and there's someone like stood up facing you, offering you a drink or sat pulling a chair up and stuff, and it is quite a wow thing. But so I do a lot of work in the altered states and stuff, and it's just so amazing what you see. And anybody can do this. I mean, someone said to me on Paul's show the other night, you know, why do you think you were picked for this and not some president or leader? I haven't been picked for anything. You know, ultimately
It just
the offer.
happens.
Well, things happen, and sometimes you take the baton and run with it, don't you? And I've
Yeah.
ran with it all right. You know, I really have been through a lot. Like, you know, during the process of all this, I've been hit, I've been seduced, I've been attacked in them. It's not been plain sailing. But what I will say, there's been a lot more loving and euphoric experiences than the negative. But at first, you do try it on, you know, and but I'd certainly recommend the journey. But I haven't been picked for anything. But certainly, if I'm up for it, then they are up for it as well. They'll keep going and help
Exactly.
you to develop. They want to develop you,
Oh,
but you've
I'm
got to
sure they
be.
do.
But you've got to be in a position to. They won't push you more than you can. These are the good guides. Your guides maybe. They won't push you further than what you're capable of going, and
Yeah.
they know how busy you are. They know that life gets in the way, and if you've got good guides, then they'll honour all that.
Another question here for Gerard. Now, this is from Joanne. Can you go anywhere you want when you are traveling, such as Antarctica or the planets?
Well, if you're good at it, I would say yes, maybe. But like again, it always dictated by your energy, what the guides want to do. And there's a lot of different aspects. But sometimes you just what I used to do is have a list and I'd write down my OBE plan and what I wanted to do. And people have asked me to visit deceased loved ones and get information. I've done that. But what I found was what would happen is a portal would emerge at the back of my head, and this is the same for a lot of OBEs. This didn't happen at first. I'd float out and travel the etheric plane locally, but then I started dropping into this portal, and I'd be concentrating where I wanted to go, like take me to a guide or take me to my grandfather, and I keep repeating it and so forth.
Yeah.
So then I travel in this portal, what we call an astral portal, maybe for up to a minute, looking at the colours and wondering if you were going to get there, you know. Then all of a sudden you come to a stop and you'd be in someone's bedroom or something, you know, and or wherever, or even with an extraterrestrials or something. But so you can, I mean, I can't say it happens all the time. It's possible, yes, it can be done. But learning how to do this, it's not as easy. You know, you can have spontaneous experiences, but getting good at this requires a lot of effort, a bit of
It
losing a
does.
bit of sleep, and developing and lacking and developing fear protocols to be strong, and your guides will help with that. So yeah, you can, but like remote viewing, you can do it with remote viewing as well, but you can get better at it, I suppose. So I'd say yeah, you possibly can. I've done quite a few deliberate tasks.
Another question here from Dragon. Have you ever been injured by spirit or entity?
I've been hit a few times. Usually when I come out of an OBE, I got a belt in the face one day, and while I've been in OBEs, I've been punched a couple of times, um, but not injured. But you learn out there, when you're out there, you've got nothing. I mean, and I say this in the first book. Imagine you've been stripped bare of all your possessions. You've been stripped everything you own. You don't even know if you're going back to your body. You're out there, um, and it's just you and your mind alone with the universe. You know, imagine that. And it's such a wonderful because you feel better in yourself. Do you know what I mean? And you come into contact with entities. You've got to start cutting deals and respect. I call it in the book respect, and what is it? You know, you've got to treat people like even if they're dark entities. And I use the word dark loosely. It doesn't mean they're going to attack you. You know, but I have had a clip a couple of times, you know, and but when you get hit by a spirit, I don't know if you've ever been hit by a spirit. For me, it didn't feel like a physical hit. It's like a sensation. I don't, it's like when I was touched in the back when I was awake, which I just described. It's like a sensation. It doesn't feel like a normal hit or slap,
No.
But maybe it will for other people. That's what my experience was.
Yeah. Do you see the supernatural aspects of the stories symbolic, literary, or a combination of both?
I don't know. It's too complicated, that question for me.
I
Try
love it. I
another.
love it. I love it. I love it. I know
Go on.
Steph in chat rooms just saying, she's just acknowledging stuff and asking other
Yeah.
people in the chat. Do you in the folks in the chat believe when you're asked to traveling, aliens pick you up in a spaceship, then they let you fly the spaceship through the universe, as some people claim?
Well, okay. This is what I was going to talk up with Paul. I'm one of these people who have flown the craft. At first I was took. The way it started, I mean, I spoke about this with Grant Cameron on his channel. And I mean, one of his books is called Pilots of Peace and Oneness, where I think he had 60 or 70 odd pilots who had flown the craft, which I'm one of. But for me, it happened in the OBE state. That's the first thing I want to say. And
Yeah,
before I go into the story, we must consider the fact that, and this is, people will argue, and I don't want to upset anybody, but at least 75% of all face-to-face contact with NHI, with ETs, has been deemed non-physical. And this was done in the free study with Ray Hernandez. I'm trying to think, and it's in one of a book, is it Greater Realities? One of the watchers might remind me what the book's
I'm
called,
sure.
but there was 3,800 surveyed, and this is where they've got the data from. So anyway, my experience being in the OBE state is quite normal, really. That's mostly how it happens. But I started seeing the craft outside when I was having my OBEs. I'd be out in the garden. What happens is they sort of initiate you. You don't always have to initiate it yourself. Sometimes I'd find myself just floating down the stairs or already outside in the garden. I think, oh, thanks, I'm out the body already, you know. And so this is not an indirect OBE. So it's not like you've directly laid there and had the OBE. Sometimes you just find yourself out the body. So I started seeing craft coming in and showing themselves to me and going. That's how it started. And then I was taken to an inner earth base, which I can come on to in a minute because I'll get onto the craft thing.
Yeah,
And I was taken to the base through a portal, and I seen craft. I seen, if we want to call them Agarthans, but they actually wore red uniforms when Agarthans are said to wear blue uniforms.
right.
And I was shown the hangar bays and the inner earth base, and I was there for a long time. And I've done polygraphs about this. Like it's on my website, my polygraph test. And that happened. And a couple of months later, I was took on board the craft. There was me and a number of other people. And I found myself at a location, and there was other people, and we were invited aboard. We were took aboard, and there was a female, and she was supervising the group. And this is the training exercise, because obviously I know that now, because this is what I've learned later.
Right.
And they wanted to know if the human mind can sync with the mind vessel, the craft. So what we think is non-physical, it's in a non-physical dimension. So yeah, I was out the body, but doesn't mean to say the craft didn't exist as such. So I was successful in moving the craft. I had to place my hand on this panel and concentrate. But I've missed something here, because a few nights before I was given symbols, like hieroglyphic symbols. In bursts of 8 seconds, these symbols came. And that's what I had to think about when my hand was on the panel, these symbols. This is what the lady told me. Remember your symbols.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
I know there's a lot to this. So I had to concentrate, and I lifted the craft. It's circular shaped craft. And when I got up about I could have gone where I wanted to go when my hand was on this panel. But I knew I was sort of being tested. But I felt the symbiotic, is I maybe I've said that wrong, connection to this craft. It was alive. This craft was alive.
Right.
I say alive, maybe not physically alive, maybe artificially, but it adds consciousness to it. I thought. I don't really know how to describe that, but then I could see for miles, absolutely miles, all at once, all around. I could see anything. And we call this 360-degree spherical consciousness. And there's other people have the same, like people like Dolly Safran, and I've experienced this 360-degree, and it's an amazing thing. But I pointed out with Preston Dennett and Dolly, I've not had this spherical consciousness in OBEs before. This, when I was on board this craft, this is what happened, and so it plugged me into something with much more energy and far greater than I was aware of. So that was the first time I was on board, and I landed the craft. And this is the funny thing, it didn't end there. I was in like a break room, and one of the hooded guardian entities was there. So he was overseeing. So the spiritual and the ufology mixed for me, because this spiritual entity that I've worked with on the astral was there in the hangar. So, and this is something Grant Cameron always talks about. When people go on board the craft for these experiences, quite often there is a spiritual entity present, a guide behind them or on the left side or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was no different. I wouldn't have even thought about that, but you pointed that out, that this guide, who I call Arabata, was there. And I was laying on the sofa, and it's just like a matrix environment. It's very vibrant, and I said to him, "Come closer, do not be afraid." And he would have thought, well, I would have been the one being afraid. But I said to him, "Come closer, friend, do not be." And this is what the OBs, you start trusting, you start believing. And he came closer and placed his hand on my head like that. And I was flooded with serenity, universal oneness. You can't describe it,
Flashing through you through consciousness.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I don't know for sure. He's never said. I mean, they only give you messages when it's needed, and you're not sat like, like gossiping and chatting with each other. It only happens as and when it's. But I understand that whatever I'd done was good. They were happy with what I'd done. I'd succeeded, That's what they wanted to know. Can the human mind do it? And I spoke to Paul when I was at a conference in Oldham, and I spoke to Richard Doty, the ex CIA disinformation expert, well, say, or whatever his job was. He knows a lot about the Roswell crash and things, and he claimed that they had some kind of helmet things on. The Greys had some kind of consciousness cap to fly the craft. This is how they connected with the Roswell craft. They had like some kind of headgear on. And a few days later, I got a message in the spirit group from a medium. Said, "Tell Jed, you don't need the helmet to fly the craft. It's done with the mind alone." So this is what kind of journey I've been on. So I'm getting messages from mediums.
Different messages.
So the craft is flown by them. The true sentient craft are flown by the mind. These reproduction vehicles, and I write about this in the new book. And before we go, we better speak about the new book. But these craft, the ones that a lot of people are seeing now, are mimics, reproduction vehicles. I think I discussed them in chapter 7, called the hardware trap, because they are a hardware trap. They're not real sentient craft, and they're controlled by the mind. And I don't know who else can do this, but certainly they can, and so many humans can. And what the reason for the humans doing it, I can't say. I'm not saying that we're going to, well, they said to me, "Do you want to know your future?" is what they said to me. So I'm thinking, is something going to happen in the future where we're going to have to step up and do something? I don't know. That's what they're leading me to believe. But,
that's what I think. it's because another thing is, why do you think there's some people are more connected with spirituality and aliens, and some people can't even see anything out there? You can say,
Yeah.
"See that up there? Can you see that UFO?" And they go, "Well, yeah."
Yeah, we're all wired
Do
differently.
you, do
I mean,
you think
I've
you,
been,
do you think some
I,
of us are chosen to see things?
I don't like the word chosen, or maybe we choose to. But they told me this is life 760. And I remember part of the coming into this life. Um, I didn't want to do it, and I had to do it. From what I write in the book, I mean, in previous lives, I've been. I mean, this could be totally untrue, but these are the visions that I've had. I've
Mm,
been. Um, I'm going to say the word warlock, um, or someone who's dealt with the supernatural, shall we say? But warlock was the name given. A male
really?
witch, if we describe it. So some of us have been more connected to the supernatural. What I understood was what they said to me, which is something that happened before I was born, but the memory was only given to me when I had a visitation when I was in my 30s. And the memory was that there's something going on right now on Earth, and they need all the people who've got a connection who can do this. So I've been retasked, if you like, to work with the light and do this. So I
Yeah,
do work with the light, but maybe I haven't in the past. But they need all the people who can do this now here. Where Grant Cameron calls this the Super Bowl. We're in the Super Bowl of times, and I said to my dad the other day, I said, "You do know this is you're in the grand final. It's all going off." um, so I'm led to believe that a lot of spiritual workers have been being pushed out to get back down here now. It's something that it's about to go off, sort of thing. There's a war on. There's a war between light and shadow or whatever. I don't know, but something. That's what I mean. I could be totally wrong here. I hold my hand up if I am, but that's what I've been led to believe.
yeah. I'm with you there as well. I'm with you there. Yeah, there's something's going to happen, and we're going to be there to
Well, you
help
can
out.
feel it. You can feel it. But I don't know it. I just got to believe. I hope it's not because when I was I don't know if I mentioned it last time, I had a lot of apocalyptic visions when I was a kid. And I don't want to scare anybody watching.
No.
End times to stuff, do you know what I mean? And it happened like repeatedly for like a whole year. Must have happened 10 times, I don't know. And but then again, on the good side of this is what the extraterrestrials want to put into you to stop it happening. So I'm not saying it is going to happen, but there's a lot of other kids that have these visions of they want us to come away from nuclear weapons and so forth. And so I'm not saying it's going to happen, but they don't want us. They don't want us wiping ourselves out.
Yeah, because they must look at us sometimes and think, all they want to do is blow themselves up.
Exactly. But I think we're connected to them. This is where we go down a bit of a red rabbit hole with this book, because from my understanding, these beings, they may be I think there are extraterrestrials, but in the main, a lot of them aren't. They live here. They're part of us. They're connected to us, and they are us in many
When
ways.
we talk about that, do you think we were born alien then?
No, I think they were born in with us because imagine you've got a non-physical, higher evolved being, and part of it's invested in this physical plane. So it's hard for us to understand with our human brains. See, being out there, you see a lot, and bringing the information back to the physical brain's hard, but there's something bigger, much bigger going on there. So I think some of these entities are our higher beings, if you like. They're living through us. Again, I could be wrong, but from where this is where the information is leading me to, that it's much more of a bigger connection through DNA and everything. And we've got the greys going around like honeybees, moving the DNA around, and we don't understand a tenth of what's going on. It's very sad. I mean, I asked them to show me the overall picture, and they showed me a little piece of what the overall picture is, and that overwhelmed me. Um, so it's like trying to, I don't want to put humans down, but our brains isn't designed to know what they know. Um, it's just it may be designed to do other things that they can't do, but can't fathom what the whole dimensions mean, Scary thing, I suppose.
Well, it is, yeah. Tell us about your new book, what's going to come out this year, The UFO
Okay.
Protocol Into the Eye of Gnosis.
No, it's the UFO protocol.
Yeah, the protocol,
um,
yes, protocol,
UFO protocol Into the Eye of Gnosis.
yes.
Now, after finishing the other book, this pushed me, this book. Like I say, it's pulled me away from having my connection because I put that much effort in straight after the other book, and I should have took a break. I really should
Yeah,
have. But the protocol really, in many ways, is saying that this is how you deal with this phenomenon. This is what you should be doing. Now, okay, we all like watching a bit of disclosure on the telly, and it's a bit of a pantomime. Everyone's running around like headless chickens, trying to tell you this and tell you that. If you concentrate on the things you should be concentrating on, learn the astral projection, learn the ability to communicate, and just the protocol is how to communicate with these beings. You might see a craft and how to what do the beings want? How do we communicate with them? And ignore all the rest. That's all you need to do. And the power into the eye of gnosis is developing the knowledge. The gnosis is spiritual knowledge. So it's about learning the spiritual knowledge and going into the eye, going straight into, and I put a picture of a grey's eye on the front because I've had a few encounters with the greys, but
yeah.
dive in, take the apple, learn the gnosis, learn the spiritual knowledge. And I love that song. It's what's it called now? White Rabbit. And Grace Slick sings, and in the end she says, "Remember what the dormouse said. Remember what the dormouse said. Feed your head, which means feed your mind. Feed your mind with the spiritual knowledge. Get to know what's needed, and ignore all the pantomime going on around you. Do you know what I mean? If you really want to communicate with these beings yourself, learn to astral project, get out the body, and you'll see how fast you start seeing them and communicating with them."
Do you believe UFOs are physical craft, consciousness based on phenomena, or something else entirely?
They can be all those things. They can be physical, spiritual. People say, like something I said the other night about them being non-physical. They can take you physically. I've been trapped in a beam of light out under a craft while being out the body and got a message saying that they wanted to speak to me, and I refused. I wasn't happy how the connection was handled. But I've been in the beam, the solid light interface under the craft, and so that was a non-physical experience for me. But think about this, it's dangerous for them. If this military industrial complex have got weaponry, plasma weapons or whatever they've got, it's quite dangerous for these for the sentient real beings to come down, So, and also they wouldn't want to destroy your lifestyle. You might have the kids to take to school tomorrow, a job to go to. It might not really help out if you're seeing a grey stood in the bedroom, And why would they do that? Most of the lessons they can give can be non-physical. And I describe Joseph Birx's virtual reality model in depth in the book. I've been speaking to Joseph, and his model. Many of the viewers will know about Hynek's C1 to 5 model. Well, Birx has added on with this VE1 to 3 model. So VE1 being an experience where the craft has a conscious connection with the individual and uses your virtual visual cortex to give information. And I think this is something that's being going, and they don't physically, if they are masters of consciousness, so they don't need to physically take you, especially if it's going to disrupt you. So like I said before, at least 75% of experiences are estimated to be non-physical, and some people actually have it at 96%. But I think we're being quite fair. They don't need to. They know they move in the atoms between the spaces. They don't. It's if you know it, it's mind-boggling. We just see things as physical, and they see it totally different. The greys with their wraparound eyes are designed to see the energy, not so much the physical body.
to
They
see
don't
our
see.
energy.
Yeah, they don't see us as we see with those big eyes. They see differently. But then bodies they use. See, this is how they can be physical. Now again, you can pull me on this because I don't know for sure, but from what I understand, the Greys use those bodies to be physical. So they can't be physical as such. Although some people say the Nordics can use a frequency drop to come down and do stuff in the physical. But a lot of people claim the Greys that use them bodies as bio suits. So the EBEs are in fact biological engineered entities. That's not who they really are. They're fifth dimensional beings inhabiting a fourth dimensional body that can drop into the third density where we are. It sounds quite alarming, but then again, you know, I had a Grey in the bedroom and he let me examine the body and it felt physical to me. But again, I don't know this for sure. This may not be my area, but that's how I understand. That's what I've put in the book anyway. So,
Yeah,
it's hard to get this information. I'm not just going to tell you, do you know what I mean? So some of the information I've put in there, I've took from people who I trust, who know a bit more about this than me.
yeah. We don't know everything ourselves.
No, but I mean, I have researched and I've spoken with people like Dolly Safran, who's had physical encounters
Yeah,
since
Dolly, yeah.
childhood. I speak with them quite regularly.
Preston.
She was on the phone for an hour last week.
She's a great woman.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Really
I've been on
nice
their channel a
people.
few times, but so yeah, but that she had a lot of information about the Greys and other people who I know as well, who've had a lot more contact than I have with the actual Greys themselves.
Has recent government disclosure changed your perspective on the phenomena?
Not really. It's just a distraction, really, and I expect whatever's told to be disinformation anyway. I'll trust what I'm seeing myself and what I'm told, And to me, they've never harmed me, and you're going to start getting threat narratives and all the rest of it. I know everyone's experiences are different. I know some people feel like they've had a hard deal off the Greys and stuff, but I can only say what I've seen, and they've never done anything to me. You know, on 3 occasions I've asked to see them, and they've visited me as such. So, I understand that. I think they will try and portray it as a bad thing, like a red flag invasion or something. I think the controlling elites don't want to lose power. The last thing they want is someone rocking up here with all free energy and this and everything else, and all of a sudden those wealthy people who enjoy controlling the planet are the same as everybody else, aren't they? All of a sudden. That's what I think. I don't think they're going to want to give that tech over and all of a sudden tell the truth. I think we're going to see more disinformation, if I'm
I
being
know
honest.
Rebecca's in chat room. She was just saying there's too many
Mm.
conspiracy theories out there.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I say in the book, the UFO protocol, follow the protocol, see for yourself. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. Was there a specific event or experience that led you down the path of this research?
Yeah. I think, I mean, I had OBEs when I was younger. I'd had visitations from angelic beings, but this opened up naturally for me. I just thought it was lucid dreaming at first. Then you start seeing a lot of deceased loved ones and things. And then, sorry, if there's any noise, that's a dog. I've got a little spaniel. I've got a little spaniel here snoring away. I can hear you.
No.
Stop it. Anyway, but they opened it up and I had the experiences. And then obviously I took the baton and started reading all those big UFO books. I've read a lot of them, astral projection books. But yeah, they opened it up. I was having multiple spontaneous, indirect experiences. So if they want you to do something, you can get you to do it. And I think I was thinking about this the other day. Do we if they know the timelines because they seem to live outside the normal range of time?
Yeah.
Do they look into the future and think, oh, he'll do it, or he'll, But in my case, I've got these memories of being given this task and being forced to do it as well, and coming in and into the life. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe we've already agreed to it before this life to do this, you know. At least that's what I've seen. But I think they know the timelines. In fact, I know they know the timelines because going to the group, you know, I've seen things that they show me from the future. Nothing, well, certain things, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like one of the things that they did show me in the group is the Tic Tac UFO. Again, I don't want to scare people. One of the visions I had was that they wanted to use the Tic Tac as a weapons delivery platform. This is what the Navy wanted to use it for. And I seen a warhead inside it. And their idea was, because as far as I could see, this Tic Tac UFO was, shall we say, military industrial complex tech. And they wanted to use it as a delivery for a weapons delivery platform. I'm thinking about that. That doesn't surprise me really, because that's where that's who the investors would have invested in the project, isn't it? Everything gets militarized and weaponized. So, but that
Yeah,
was a
of
very
course it does.
in-depth
Yeah.
vision, you know, seeing that warhead inside the Tic Tac. And they showed me we can have this over any city in the world in so many minutes. We don't need them submarines. We don't need, you know, the bombers and all the stuff. That's where I see now. Could again, I always hold my hand up. I could be wrong, but that was a vision that I had. So
Do you see any connection between astral projection and CE5 experiences?
yes, I mean I'm in the CE5 group, and the idea being with CE5, it isn't just about going out and seeing a craft. It might happen. You might see it in the dream state later on. It's opening you up. It's about all those energy related things. So say the term astral projection, again, being a bit of an occultist term, they wouldn't like that. But if we said the out of body experience, then certainly, yeah. Because like I say, if 75% minimum is non-physical contact, and CE5 is about, you know, human initiated contact with extraterrestrials, then a lot of that contact could be later, it could be non-physical. And even I know people, I've got a friend, Sinead Wellahan, who I speak to quite frequently. And I mean, she had a CE5 and there was an entity, they took a photo of an entity coming out of her chest. And she was sat next to Grant Cameron at the time.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she's got a photo of it. But, you know, and Stephen Greer's got some good photos of in the CE5 circle and that. So it's a non-physical thing. So that, you know, people go out the body, and even in the circle, sometimes they'll leave their bodies and things. That's what it is. So we've got to get away from this thing of physical, non-physical. It can go any way. You know, some people see things with the physical eyes. I've had healings, people being healed, the hearing being healed in a CE5 circle. You know, so healings can go on, but it's quite varied, the things that can happen.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think astral projection offers any clues about what happens after death?
I think so. I mean, I've seen loads of deceased loved ones. I've been taken. I mean, I remember. I'll just tell you this experience. I was having an OBE. I think I had a fly around. I'd been up to the upper atmosphere, and I felt a drain of energy. So I came back, but I was just hovering above my physical body. I was thinking, what shall I do now? And then I seen the spirit hands coming towards me. I know this sounds bizarre,
Yeah.
and you've got to be quite robust. You get used to this. It doesn't just happen. And these spirit hands come round my back and took me. I lifted off. I thought, oh, here we go. You know, who's this? And I thought it was my grandmother, but anyway, it turns out it was my mother-in-law. Um, and the next thing I knew, I was in a higher realm, and I was at her house, and she was showing me a new house in the spirit realms, and you know, the rose bushes and all those things. But I knew I was in the astral, so I didn't have to go through the door, open the door. I just walked straight through the door. So, but I've traveled, I've been on these other dimensions quite a few times. And I do think they're living and it's hard for us to understand. And I've seen a lot of them here in the etheric plane, just the one dimension above ours. So from the spirits exist, they're here. There's life after death, no doubt about it. Stop worrying about it. It's fine. And in my experience, they're everywhere, and they're living in these fancy realms. We call them consensus realities. So you will go to a reality that's consensual with your thoughts and other people's. And I've been to the lower levels as well, bars, clubs, and various things, which I'm not going to go into too much detail. I might bring out a book called How to Get to the Lower Astral. No, it's not a nice place, really. But maybe, so there is these other consensus realities, hard to get our head round, really is,
Oh
But,
my God, yeah.
but they
How we
exist.
doing? I'm just looking to see how we're doing for time. We're all right,
Yeah,
just.
yeah.
Your book explores realms beyond ordinary physical reality. How has this influenced your views on possibility of the afterlife?
Well, similar to the last question, but I'm a full believer in the afterlife. One of the things I had after I had the craft experience, or was that before or between the inner earth one, the hooded guardian visited me, and I was sat here like I am now,
Yeah,
or maybe I was watching TV. I can't remember, and I was overwhelmed, like you're entranced. I mean, I don't know if anyone watching has seen a trance medium in action. I was entranced, and I was shown the earth. I was shown. It was explained to me, right, and this might help people. Um, this whole life to them is like 2 weeks in their time. So we see it as however many, 60, 70, 80
yeah,
years, whatever it is. It's 2 weeks to them. That's what he explained. It's like going on holiday, meeting a few friends around the pool, and you say goodbye at the airport and you go home. That is home. This isn't home. This isn't home at all. And you know that as soon as you're in these realms, you know that this isn't your real home. This is a very temporary. This is a vacation. Um, but he said to me, "Don't worry about death." He says it's merely a transition from this plane to this plane, and it'll be like that. Don't worry about it. And I felt that. I really did feel it. And I seen the earth spinning, the projections. I seen in
right.
his mind this ancient being, what he knows, being around for millennia, and that's what I felt. So, at one point I had no fear of death whatsoever. I suppose that's been a while. You think about it a bit now, but at the time I was totally resilient to all that, because you just know. And then you're seeing spirits, and you're traveling to their realms. I was living between worlds, if I'm honest. I know people will think I'm crazy. I've got the polygraphs, so at least I believe what I'm saying.
Of course you
And
are.
and I go out and I do a professional job every day. I don't let it interfere with me work. And to me, it's quite euphoric. And you could offer me a suitcase with 10 million in, and I wouldn't take it to lose these experiences. It doesn't
Oh
matter how
no.
much money you've got. You can have all the cars, all the pools, whatever you want. But if you haven't got that certainty of like that connection to the spirit world, you feel it. You just feel it, and I wouldn't give up the what I've seen for anything. But it's such a beautiful thing. And I don't know if you've done any mediumship. When you deliver a message to
Yeah,
somebody,
yeah.
when you deliver a message to someone about a loved one or something, you feel fantastic. You feel fantastic. So these are the important things that people need to be thinking about. In my view,
Oh yeah,
just my opinion.
yeah. Yeah. I'll just give you another question before we go.
Okay.
Um, do you think there's a connection between ancient spiritual traditions and modern UFO reports?
Well, I think they're just interpreted different ways, aren't they? In the past, they were doing like traditionally done spiritual things to maybe induce these effects and that. One of the things I did see. I don't know if you heard of Graham Hancock. He talks a lot about it,
Yeah.
and I've never read his books, but he was on about, and I'll use it. People inducing experiences using certain substances straight into their arm, and they were under for an hour using these substances, and so people are practicing using those hallucinogenics and things. But I know, I think we have natural DMT, if I'm allowed to say the word. I don't know. You might have to erase that, but um, it's released, and I think it's been going on from day dot.
Oh God, he has. Yeah,
Yeah,
certainly. About come to the end of the show.
yeah,
Where
yeah.
can people get your books?
Right, gerardpratt.com. The Astral Traveller is on there now. It's selling quite well still, and hopefully in August, I'll have the UFO Protocol Into the Eye of Gnosis, should be out then. But yeah, my website, gerardpratt.com, gerardpratt.com. You can access things from there, or on Amazon, if you like.
If people want to get in touch with you about
Yeah,
anything to do with your research,
yeah. Two
can they get in
ways
touch with you on Facebook
they
or
can.
email address?
Well, if they go on my website, gerardpratt.com, there is a way of connecting with me on there via email. Or secondly, find me on and follow me on Facebook. Will it be Gerard M Pratt? There'll be a picture of the books on there on the
Yeah,
photograph. So Gerard M Pratt on Facebook or gerardpratt.com. So yeah,
brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
super. And I'd like to say thanks for anyone who's listened or watched. And remember, these are my experiences. I'm not trying to say, well, I mean, for me, things are pretty much bolted on, but I'm always open to new learning. And
I
if
think
I'm
we all
wrong,
are.
yeah, if I'm wrong, I'll hold my hand up. But I have seen these things. I've got the polygraphs and I believe it. But, you know, maybe I'm wrong. If you want to prove me wrong, that's fine. But I would
There's always,
advise,
yeah, exactly. There's always
I would
people out
advise
there.
you working on oneself and getting out there and seeing for yourself. Lucid dreaming, start with the lucid dreaming and work your way up from there. I should have said that before. Work your way up from the lucid dreaming into the astral
Yes.
projection. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Gerard, for coming on the show.
You're
It's
welcome.
been
Absolutely.
good. I've enjoyed it.
We'll do it again soon.
Oh, you will do.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll do it again when the book comes out.
Yes.
I'll come.
Just get in touch with me.
I will do.
And then we'll talk about that.
Brilliant.
Talk about your new book.
Brilliant.
So thank you again. Thank you to people in chat room for the questions. It's always nice to have somebody else with some different questions.
Yeah, thanks for that.